Hey, it's Jenny here. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this 3D face mask. I'm part of a group here on Vashon, and we are sewing masks for our community. So we've tried lots of different masks. I've been sewing fitted masks, hundreds of them, but I recently learned how to make these octagon masks in this pattern here. I got this pattern from Eigen Crafts. She has an amazing step-by-step tutorial on how to make these masks. So the only thing I couldn't find was some kind of video to go along with it. So I'm making this video for those who want to see how to make this in action. Okay. One thing I really like about this mask, for one, it's just comfortable. I could just leave it on and not even be bothered by it. The other thing I like is that you could put a additional filter inside your mask, or extra cotton, or whatever it is that you want to use for a filter. And it gives you a little protection. It keeps your mask protected as well. So to use that, you'll just put your filter right inside the kind of the box of your mask like that, okay? And the way that I made these is I just took 2 layers of cotton. I put a layer of cotton, some Smart Fab, which is a non-woven material that doesn't let water get through it, at least as far as I've tested. And then we just serged along the outside. If you don't have a serger, you could also take a piece of fabric, fold it over a piece of Smart Fab, or just fold it in half, sew around the outside, and then use pinking shears on the outside. So that's another way of making your filter. The other thing that I like about this pattern is it has a continuous tie that you can run through the whole mask. I chose to do 2 16-inch ties that go down, and then I put a pony bead at the bottom and at the top. This way I can adjust my mask at the top of my head and at the bottom of my neck. Some things to keep in mind when you're picking your t-shirt ties is stretchy, soft, that's going to be the most comfortable. I've tried probably 10 different kinds of shirts and experimented to find out which ones I liked best. What I found is shirts that have some spandex in them. So this one has some spandex in it. This is a spandex polyester. This one has spandex. This is a spandex cotton. I also like this. This is cotton polyester, but it's heathered and it's soft, ring spun. So I really like that. And then probably my least favorite, but shirts are really cheap, is just a 50% cotton poly blend. So you can see it doesn't quite have as much stretch as something like this does. So keep that in mind. Also, when you cut your strips of your shirt, make sure you cut them 1 inch and try to keep them straight, because if you don't, your strips are going to be all kind of wonky. So, okay. So we've got option for filters, ties. We have our pattern, our instructions. You're going to take, for your pattern, you're going to need 2 octagons, 1 sheet for your front of your mask, and then 1 for the back of your mask. So if you notice, the line at the top, this side, is longer than the line at the bottom. So the way you can kind of remember that is think of this as, so this is the top, think of this as your face. So this part of your face is longer than your chin. So think of that as your face. You're going to be laying that down, and we're going to be adding a nose casing. So here's our nose casing. To make your nose casing, you're going to take a strip of fabric that's 2 by 6 inches, and you're first going to turn the sides in about a 1/2 inch, and then you're going to fold it in half, and then you're going to go to your sewing machine and you're going to stitch along the ends, just straight down the ends. Okay, and then after we stitch down the ends, we're going to put it onto the back of our mask. okay? Let's see how it's on the inside of my mask, okay? So, strings here. Okay. So remember, the long side, lay your nose casing down, and then we're going to stitch just along the bottom part of your nose casing. We don't need to stitch it at the top because when we sandwich our front of our mask on top, it will close that top up. So we're just going to stitch along the bottom, pretty close to the edge, because we want to have enough room to put our wire in there. Because this is removable, you know, as new options come out for wires, you might want to change this out. I know I've tried several different kinds of wires before, and I still don't know that I've found the perfect one, but if you have one that can't be washed, you can take this out before it needs to be washed. So I really like that flexibility as opposed to a lot of the fitted masks that I was sewing that had the wire built in. So, okay, after you do that, you're going to put your front of your mask on, okay? Now, if you wanted to add another layer of filtration, you could put another layer right here. So this is, again, that Smart Fab, and I'm going to be sewing all the way around my mask, and I would just sew this to the back of the mask, but I'm not going to do that for this example here. So just make sure that you leave one of your ends open because you're going to be turning it right side out. So I'm going to leave my side open here, so I'm going to start right up here at this edge. Just make sure you get it kind of lined up on top of each other because you want to have nice crisp corners. So I'm going to sew a 1/4 inch around the entire mask, leaving the end open. Once you get familiar with this pattern, you can probably finish one in 20 minutes, 15-20 minutes, but the first one might take you a little while. The other thing, I've tried lots of different patterns, played around with the angles, the width, the sides, and this one had the most consistent results, and it seemed to fit a wide range of faces. So, since on Vashon we're not really making multiple sizes of masks, I think this is a really good choice. Okay. Just end. Make sure you backstitch. Okay. So there we have it. Put my ends here. So now what you're going to do is you're going to turn your mask right side out. So if you have like a paintbrush or a chopstick or a ballpoint pen, I have this thing right here that I'm going to use to kind of poke out my corners because you want to have nice crisp corners. So you're going to poke out all your corners. Okay. And then you're going to be ironing it. Okay, get all those corners out. Okay. And you're gonna take it to your iron, press it. Now just make sure you're gonna have that open end. Make sure you tuck in your seams there so you can press it. Okay. sides out. Okay. Okay, so now we have our octagon shape. You can see we've got our place for our nose wire in the back. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to top stitch around the entire mask and just staying again close to the edge of your mask. Wasn't quite out. Okay, you're going to close up that side. Notice my corner isn't quite out here. Well, that might happen. Just get it pulled out. So now that we've top stitched around our mask, we are ready to make our envelope. So what you're going to do is you're going to be turning your mask up. I'm going to iron it here and then I'll show you. So you're going to be folding your mask at those corners, like I was saying about having nice crisp corners. So you're going to fold the top up and then you're going to fold the bottom down right there at the corners, okay? I'm kind of going fast here, so usually it would be a little neater. Okay, and then what you're going to do is you're going to stitch along the corners here, just about an inch in, and then along the top, down, and then again up here, down and down. The reason you're going to do that is that's going to give your mask this 3D dimension, okay? So it gives it some structure right there, okay? So I'm going to start here, just inside that corner. And her tutorial gives you pictures of all this as well. To the end, pivot, go a little bit into your envelope, and then do the bottom flap. Go down the bottom of your envelope. Okay, and then you're going to go up again into about an inch. Okay. Again, I'm sewing pretty quickly for demonstration's sake because I'm just recording this on my cell phone. I don't have any fancy editing software here. So, okay, so next you're going to do, so you got your top of your mask, is you're going to make your tie casings. So you're going to get your ties. Here I've chosen to use the cotton spandex shirt, and I'm going to lay my tie out, and then I'm going to fold over the side of my casing. Now you just want to make sure that when you're making your casing, that number one, you don't sew over your tie, but number two, you want to make sure that you don't fold your casing over so far that you're not going to be able to flip your mask up, okay? So it's kind of a balance. And this, I like this pattern because it allowed me to have enough width that I could still use like a t-shirt tie and not just a little piece of elastic, okay? So you're gonna bend this over. You can see over here, there's a nice little triangle there. So you wanna be able to see that triangle when you roll your tie over. You don't wanna make your tie casing so big that you lose that triangle in there. Okay, I hope that's clear. So, okay, so we're gonna put our tie in. And now we're just gonna sew right down the sides to close up our casings without sewing over our ties. And if you have any questions about the steps, you can ask me or you can look at the pictures. This just gives you kind of a, you know, you could follow along with this to help you remember how to do the steps or just to see it in action. You know, that always helps me. Okay. So now I have my ties secured in their casings. Okay, you can see my ties can move in and out. So you may want to just have, so I'm going to be doing, you know, a tie. I'm going to be tying it at the top with a bead and the bottom, but you could have a continuous tie that goes all along through the mask. You'll probably want to do that now before you sew your casing closed. That way you don't have to, you know, get a safety pin or a needle or something to thread your ties. You can just do it right now. Okay, the next part is probably the trickiest part of the whole thing. It's kind of like doing origami. You're gonna fold up, fold up the side there, put a clip on it, okay? You see how it's parallel there? Then you're gonna sew down here on the bottom, fold that back, fold it first, and then you'll sew it, okay? And then you're gonna do the same thing on the other side. So fold that one down, clip it, fold this one up, clip it. And that's gonna give your mask that 3D dimension. Okay, make sure you get your ties out of the way. And now you're just gonna sew down right along the inside of your tie casing to hold those flaps down. And make sure you backstitch in the beginning at the end. Okay, that flap down. We're going to do this side. Make sure you get your tie out of there. See, even I make mistakes. Don't do that. Make sure your ties are out of the way when you sew. Okay. Hold that up. Start where I left off. Okay, and backstitch. Okay. Just trim your strings, your thread. Okay, make it look nice. Okay, so we're almost done. There's your mask. Your mask is made, and now we're just going to finish up the ties. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be putting a pony bead in the top and in the bottom. So you just grab one of your pony beads, push one end of your tie into your pony bead. You can use tweezers to pull it through, whatever you need. Amy in our Mask for Vashon group made this little handy tool for pushing ties in. It's been a lifesaver. I love it. Now when you're cutting your t-shirt ties, before you cut up your whole shirt, cut a strip, test it, make sure that it curls. A lot of ribbed shirts won't curl, so just make sure it curls. And then also check your width of your shirt, because you know the different materials of shirts will have a different thickness when they're pulled, and so you just want to make sure, test it to make sure it will go through your pony bead. Okay, so now I've got all my sides through my pony beads. I'm just gonna tie a knot in the bottom, each one, on the top. Okay, and then you're going to just snip off the ends. And there you have it. A beautiful 3D mask, box mask. Now again, to put this on, put the top up over your ears, fit your nose, make sure the bottom is pulled tight. And there you have it. Happy mask making. Hope this video helps you follow the tutorial from Eigen Crafts, and have a great day.